Hello, my online students. This is a video explaining how to do the alternative project for the creature feature paper mache sculpture. I totally understand trying to do a big sculpture project at home is really messy, but this is what I could come up with for where we're at in our artistic journey. There are some digital projects we could have done, but I would need more time to prepare for those. So if you're still online, later on in the year, we'll be able to do some digital work. But for now, we're still going to stay with drawing, in your case, instead of the sculpture project. Now, this project might seem a little kiddish. It kind of is. I used to do this when I worked in daycares, the folding surprise. But in our case, we will do something, a little twist on it. You still have to create your own creature. So you need to fill out that creature feature info card and draw a little sketch of your creature just so that you have an idea of what you want to do. I'm not done with the teeth yet, but this is my creature in paper mache. It's a nature protector of the forest type of creature. So in our case, how do we get our creature to be in this folding surprise project? There's gonna be this empty gap eventually in here. What you should try to do and plan out now is this front part looking normal. So something normal, something innocent. You could either go that way, or you can have your creature out on the front here, and then when you unfold it, something crazy is happening as well inside. I have a folder of examples that other people have done videos for that I think are really creative. Like someone did Frankenstein's face, but when you unfolded it, it was the brain inside. I'll be grading on quality of the drawing, the interactiveness of the folding surprise. So did you actually do something from the front contrasts with something inside? I want it fully colored, and we need to add details. So we've been doing a lot of journal prompts. This is not a journal prompt. This is just going to be a mini project, and you need to make sure it is a complete artwork. So coloring it, maybe outlining it with black pens. If you need any of these materials, let me know. But as you can see, I've already pre-drawn the outside surprise. If you go look at the videos, how I folded my paper to go perfectly into fours. So there's 4 sections if you didn't see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 sections for the outside, 2 sections for the inside. All you're going to do is fold your paper in half, a regular piece of copy paper, fold it in half, then fold it in half again. I know, super complicated stuff there. And then you have your different sections. So now I'm kind of flattening out the folds. My paper goes like this, you know, so you can now bend this. Like this is the first fold down here. Bend that fold backwards again. That way you have unfolding, unfolding, okay? You want a little triangle kind of peeking up. You want a little mountain, okay? And that's how you get that going. Then what I did is I just drew this completely on its own as I had the paper folded, so that everything would line up, the top to bottom lines up. I don't have anything from up here crossing down into this bottom section. That way, when I unfold it, there's no like floating flowers down here or anything. It's all making sense, folded and unfolded. I'm just going to get started drawing on the inside of here so you can see my process. I've decided that I wanted a normal looking flowers in a pot, but then eventually my creature is in here just totally angry, ready to kill someone type of thing. So I'm gonna work with the lines that are up here and the lines that are down here and make them connect with what's in here. I think I'm gonna get started. So When you're drawing, your hand is just like any other muscle. I think I'm going to add thorns on the vines in here to make it more menacing. So think about little details like that that can make things more different from the inside versus the outside. But when you're drawing, your hand is a muscle, okay? That if your hand is tight, make sure you like shake it out. You know, my first little section of drawing might actually be worse than my later section because my hand will have warmed up as I draw more and more and more. So you're going to just keep working with your idea, erase something that doesn't work out, draw lightly. You should really draw lightly at this stage, okay? You don't know what you want to erase. I think I might want to make little snakes come out of these flowers. I think that could be just fun. Remember, this is your character. Have fun with it. Maybe I'll change my mind, but a little snake coming out of the flower. So with what your character is, you filled out that info card. You told us where it came from, its origin story. You can also think about what do you want on the sides. You can draw things up in the corners, draw things, like I put my pot on a table, but you can put your character in a whole different landscape. Think about what you can do to add those details in. So you see, I just did that really quick. Sometimes you just have to go for it and hope for the best. It's when you do these very careful scratchy lines is when your lines don't look that great. But sometimes just go for it, and you might have to test it on a scrap piece of paper. Just go for it and feel that muscle movement. And this project, when you're done, you can easily turn it into a Halloween card if you celebrate Halloween, or scare your nieces and nephews with. Just have fun with it. Get creative with what you invent, with what creature you have. I recommend finding a quiet place, a good chunk of time where you can just focus on drawing, and you just keep going. You'll have all of this week and next week to finish this. Think about how you're going to use color to contrast the different sections too. If you're trying to make an innocent outside, what colors do you associate with innocence? Maybe bright colors, the pastels maybe, and then darker, contrasting, mucky colors. You decide what works for you. Or maybe the color is consistent, but the shapes and everything are so different. Think about how you're going to contrast. I'm really liking my choice for the snakes. I think it adds extra movement. I got the thicker vine, then a tinier snake, then the tinier tongue, all kind of creating movement and this wiggliness that I really appreciate. Don't be afraid to have ideas. That's what I've been saying a lot in class. Don't be afraid to have ideas. Like, I had the idea, let's add snakes and see what happens. And I tested it out, and I kept stepping back and looking to see if that idea was good for what I'm trying to do. And to me, I think I like it. I like the snakes. Strongly recommend before you even add color, make sure your drawing is done. Notice I didn't even color this yet. I want to make sure this is all done, because maybe I decide something here that makes me need to change something out here. So you have to get your drawing down, color later. I think it's time to start planning where the eyes will go and where the mouth will go. That way I'm not drawing these vines where I want the eyes and the mouth to go. So I'm just gonna decide that there's gonna be this like wiggly bottom lip. Might change it later. And wiggly top lip. I'm adding a little curve to the corner of the mouth. And this is where I'm going to get the spines coming out, and I'm going to put the flowers for eyes, I think right around here. So I'm starting with the center, and I'm going to build out the little petals, kind of wiggly arches around the eyes. Not really worrying about if these petals are perfect, because nature doesn't worry about if its flower petals are perfect. Flowers just grow. I know one of you, you're doing like a flame creature. You might have fun with how the flames are curving around. Is the outside a normal campfire scene with s'mores, or is the inside that kind of flame demon gobbling up something, you know? Think with the fire, do you want the fire to be the typical fire colors, or do you want to use something different for your colors? What kind of style fire do you want it to look like? Like in Japan, they draw fire, like we draw fire kind of stylized, like with wiggles and points on the end. That's how like we draw fire usually. And then in Japan, it's a whole other thing. I'll try to like show a picture. So think about maybe looking up what other styles of art, how they do their fire. But now I've planned where the eyes are, where the mouth is. Glad that I decided to plan where they are now, because I started to draw where they currently are, and I don't want to erase my hard work. Make sure you work smarter, not harder. And I think the last thing I want to do is try and make a vine wiggle down so it looks like I have an angry brow. So I'm going to make this connect up here. And let's make this line wiggle down and create an angry brow. You see how I paused there? I was just planning where my line was going to go. I'll stop there right now, and I'll be able to help you with your project in a bit, but look how much I've gotten done with the inside. That took me 20 minutes, so this project might take a few hours. This outside took me about 20 minutes as well, and I still need to finish the inside. I just wanted to show you how mine came about, how I finished it. So this is the inside. Look at my grumpy plant forest protector. How I made these little thorns are just really long triangles. I changed up the length. I made some really long, some really small, and that just adds a little bit of interest. Other things I did, I kind of mimicked the cheekbones in a human's face with these lines, and then just added little lines around the eyes to kind of make them more energetic, more expressive. Those are just expression lines is how I would call it. They just give it a little almost vibration feel. The next step for me will be outlining with a black pen. If you do not have a black pen, you can work with the pencil, but maybe darken your lines in some places or everywhere. So either use a pencil and darken your lines, or have a black pen to outline. And I would recommend colored pencils for this project. If you have markers, it will work. Colored pencils though, especially in my case, give me a chance to blend different greens together and colors and create texture that I want in my drawing. So that is step number 1, getting your drawing down. When you're outlining, you see I've begun. I would start with little short lines first as you warm up your hand, and then when you've been drawing maybe a minute or two, I would move on to the longer lines, because that's when your hand has started to warm up. It's easier to do these long swooping lines when your hand has already been drawing for a little bit. The other tip for this stage, don't be afraid to move your paper around to get better angles, to make it easier for you as you mark your paper. I accidentally just put a little dot there. That's okay. Forgot my cap was off. Don't do what I just did. but move your paper around so it's easier for you to reach certain lines, okay? The pen I'm using is a flare tip pen in black, and I also like using Micron pens. If you've ever heard of Micron pens, they will give you thinner lines. Illustrators use them all the time. But I'm using this flare pen right now. You can use any black pen. Ballpoint pens are where it's not as clean lines if you use a ballpoint pen. So be careful with a ballpoint. If you have a felt tip, that's ideal, but whatever you can get your hands on at home. The next stage is adding color to your creature. I want the whole thing colored. Try to color the background as well. But I started to color the top up here. I haven't blended it yet. You can see kind of how flat just one color is. And then I'm starting to blend two colors together for the flowers for the eye. And just notice how just even blending two colors together just gives you a nice gradient versus this kind of flatness. So later I'm gonna add in some more green, maybe yellow to make it more of a yellowy green. How I'm just doing these, and you might already know because some of y'all with your artistic skills are crazy. I've just been laying down the color, and I'm putting quite a bit of pressure on this outer side and then slowly releasing that pressure. So putting down a lot of pressure when I want a bold color, and then kind of lifting that pressure off as I get more in the middle of the petal. These are such small petals that I'm not really worrying about, is it perfect? You don't have to worry about perfection. But just did those two petals so easily, and it's just two colors blending slowly together. And I want you to think about where can you lay down color in this nice gradient? How can you blend the colored pencils to get a more dynamic drawing where it's not so flat? And you see also how different, and I might see I'm picking this back up to layer the other color on top because it's not as blended as I want it to be. And now it's looking a lot better. You might do that and pick up the yellow one again and blend on top of the layer you just added. It's all your decision making. But if I keep going, I'm gonna have a nice vibraty color going on in the flower. Instead of just making it all flat yellow, I'm kind of adding dimension. I'm gonna color this whole thing eventually. I'll show you it later, but for now I want to get the video out to you. And then, like I was saying earlier, try to make a contrast between the colors. Maybe out here it's lighter and more carefree. Maybe in here it's going to be darker. I'm choosing to have really bright colors for the eyes so they stand out. I want to get gradually darker green as we get to the center of the face, maybe even black. We'll see. And you might notice I added more lines, more expressive lines, after I had finished outlining my drawing. I looked and I was like, I think I want to add a few more expressive lines. I had to stop myself a few times to make sure I didn't get carried away, but I did add a few more lines. Your creature is a character. Show us a little bit of its character, a little bit of its details. Keep pushing your ideas. Like maybe I should add something to the pot, or maybe I should add stuff to the background. Push your ideas until you're like, I think really this is enough. This is done. And that's the project for this week and the week after that.